been a tactics fan since the original Shining Force was released on the Genesis back in 1992. I love waging war with a dozen individual troops on a giant map. I've never been a fan of random battles, so I think this might be why I gravitated towards srpgs and tactics games. As the years went by, I tried to absorb as many srpgs as I could. Shining Force 2, Shining Force CD, Dark Wizard, Ogre Battle, Tactics Ogre, Fire Emblem, Brigadine, Final Fantasy Tactics. I couldn't get enough. But there were and are a lot of video games out there, and of course, I missed a few titles. One of those titles I missed during the PS1 era was Vanguard Bandits. All I knew about the game was mechs and working designs. I loved mechs. I loved the game's working designs localized, so if I played it in the day, I'm sure I would have loved it, but along with a lot of other games, unfortunately, I missed it. And it took me another 22 years to finally get around to playing it. So, I played it. Epica Stella was released by Human Entertainment in Japan in 1998 for the PlayStation. This game was released under the name of Vanguard Bandits by Working Designs in North America in 2000. They wanted to call it Detonator Gauntlet, but midway threw a tantrum because at the time they owned the rights to the Gauntlet series. The game marries a familiar medieval world with tactics combat between gigantic mechs called ATACs, all-terrain armored combatants. And the game's music was composed by Koji Nikura and Chiyomaru Shikura. Vanguard Bandits gameplay doesn't break any new grounds, but it's solid. The premise of giant mechs in a fantasy medieval world is a great hook. Combat takes place on a grid not unlike Final Fantasy Tactics or Dark Wizard. Each unit takes their turn one at a time and can act based on action points. Movement, attacking, and performing special abilities will take up your action points. This will also generate fatigue points, and if they max out, your mech goes dormant for a few turns. Attacking is not unlike Shining Force. When you engage or are engaged by an enemy, the overhead grid view switches to a side view where the action takes place. Despite being on the PS1, the transition is actually pretty quick and keeps the pace moving forward. Depending on what weapon or gemstone the ATAC has equipped dictates on what attacks you can take. Some attacks can knock enemies down, some can hit from a space away, and some can inflict status ailments. Acting in battle will grant you experience points, and when you accrue enough, you'll level up. When you level up, you'll get to assign 3 points to 6 different stats. Depending on how you distribute these points, you can earn new attacks to help you move forward during combat. During the time in between battles, some characters will even give you hints on what stats to raise to gain certain attacks. And that brings us to the non-combat gameplay. In between battles, you are able to engage in a number of activities from a central hub screen. Briefing allows you to see a bird's eye view of the map showcasing the terrain and where units will be placed, along with hearing some details of the battle from your units. Interview will allow you to chat with members of your party to increase morale. This is very important because morale affects what ending you get. This being said, you only have the time in between chapters to speak to 3 party members, so make the interviews count. Shop allows you to purchase weapons and gems for your ATACs. Equip allows you to surprise, equip your ATACs. Save saves your game. Load loads your game. Quit quits your game. And mission loads up your next battle. In between battles is when you'll get most of your exposition as well. You take control of Bastion and his friends, fighting to bring peace to the continent and to defeat the evil empire looking to take control. It's definitely not unique, it's not special, and it's not particularly well told, but it's got enough Game of Thrones style melodrama and politicking to keep your interest in between bouts of giant robots knocking each other around. Faulkner is a real bastard though. The game's soundtrack is pretty good, it has some great songs that fit the scope of giant tactics battles, and it also has a few vocal tracks as well, and in a rare display, the English language versions of these songs are actually better than the original Japanese versions. How weird is that? All in all, Vanguard Bandits isn't the most unique srpg you'll ever play, but the game has enough going for it that it is well worth a play. You can also finish it in about 25 hours, so it's not even a huge time sink. Well worth a play if you're craving a PS1 style tactics game. For RPG Fortress, I've been Richard, thanks for watching, and don't forget to hug a cat. See you next time.